Hi, my name is Justin Blitz. I'm an attorney in New York City, and I'm going to be spending the next hour talking to you about depositions, strategies for depositions, um, using various techniques to make your deposition more effective. Uh, we're going to be talking about strategies that one could use for in person depositions and for remote depositions. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a attorney in New York City. I have a law firm where we practice medical malpractice and plaintiff's personal injury. I'm going to be speaking from the perspective of the plaintiff's practitioner. It's what I do, 95% of the work that I do. And I'm also going to be speaking from the perspective of from a personal injury or medical malpractice or wrongful death type lawsuit. The techniques that I'm going to be discussing really are intended for those types of cases. If you have a contract case or a discrimination case, you really I would give you pause as to moving forward with some of the strategies that we're going to be discussing, because that's not what I do, and these are techniques that I have really been developing for many years in the personal injury perspective. So, also, the last caveat that I'd like to give you is well, two more things. First of all, this is intended for a national audience. I am a New York practitioner, and if you are going to utilize some of the strategies and techniques that we discussed today, I would encourage you just to make sure that you check your local rules and ordinances to make sure that anything that we would be discussing is not going to be in conflict with any local rules. The other caveat is this is a national intention to give people all across the country assistance on depositions. But again, check your local state if you're not in New York, just to make sure that some of the issues that we discussed today, again, will not be in conflict. So the first thing that I want to get into about depositions is the procedural context. The timing and the other procedural requirements will vary amongst the different state laws. In New York, the timing of the depositions are guided by New York CPLR 3107. For example, in California, it would be the Code of Civil Procedure 2025.210 A. And the timing is always going to be subject to local rules and state law provisions. CPLR 3107 in New York requires you to give each party and the deponent at least 20 days notice prior to setting up the deposition. What is typically occurs in my practice is after the answer is received and the discovery demands are responded to and our discovery demands are drafted and sent out. What typically happens in New York practice is we would file a RJI, a request for judicial intervention, a request for a preliminary conference, and the court would issue a preliminary conference order where it would set up the times and dates of the depositions. And if they were on or before dates, not definite dates set in stone on the order, we would then get up on the phone and get with opposing counsel and get a date that was on the calendar and scheduled. And that's typically, the plaintiff obviously would go first and then the defendant. And of course, you have the potential for non-party depositions as well that you want to consider.